Good afternoon, fellas, and welcome to another video with me, Vince at Modern Man Lifestyle. We have a different format today. I'm going to be reviewing an article written about online dating, just to follow on from the video I did last week about the 80-20 rule. Now, what I'm going to do today is I'm going to take you through some of the key points of this article and some of the data which backs up a lot of what I was saying in my last video. But I also want at the end just to discuss a little bit about, the facts, the realities, but also that it's not all doom and gloom and there is things you can do. You just have to understand the odds and what they are, where you are within this whole sexual market value, and understanding that there are many things you can do to improve. Because ultimately, what I want to do is I want to give you an idea of female nature, the current dating market, what's going on, but I also want to be supporting you with solutions. Because ultimately, if we're not getting solutions, then we're just sitting here moaning and bitching about, how tough it is to be alive in a developed first world country.
Say what?
Anyway, with no further ado, this is the article. It's from a website, Worst Online Data, and it's saying Tinder experiment. Guys, unless you're really hot, you're probably better off wasting time on Tinder. And this is quantitative socioeconomic study. Now, this is written in 2015, so obviously things have probably increased drastically in the last 6 years. Definitely things like Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, whatever, online dating is going to be increased over time. But essentially on the abstract, let's just dive in here quickly. And this is quite similar to what I was talking about earlier. It was determined that the bottom 80% of men in terms of attractiveness are competing for the bottom 22% of women. The top 78% of women are competing for the top 20% of men. So look, here's the thing. Women's expectations and their idea of what they are worth and what they can get is infinitely higher than men's. Women have arguably, in some cases, delusional ideas of what their worth is on the sexual market value, not as an intrinsic person, not as like someone's better than someone else because they look better, not like that, simply what their attractiveness is to other people. Because of this percentage, the 80-20 rule, the Tinder economy has more inequality than 95% of all the world's national economies. I mean, that is a stat that we don't want to hear, do we? The amount of average attractiveness would be liked by approximately 1 in 115 women. Yeesh. But again, we'll talk about this more at the end. This is why you need to be improving yourself, your money, your fitness, your body, your hair, your clothes, the whole thing. Because if online dating is even more what it was 6 years ago, and yes, there are better applications, there's Hinge, there's Bumble, there's other ones, it still means that you're going to have to level up to get into a place where you want to be. Let's just break this down. Okay, so I'm just going to read from this. It'll make it a bit easier. The Tinder economy. First, let's define the Tinder economy. The wealth of economy is quantified in terms of its currency. In most of the world, the currency is money. In Tinder, the currency is likes. The more likes you get, the more wealth you have on the Tinder ecosystem. Yeah, totally happy with that. That makes a lot of sense. Everyone can probably understand that. The more likes you get, the more matches you get, the better or more wealth you have in your Tinder economy. Wealth in Tinder is not distributed equally. Yes, and it isn't in the world. Okay, so look, what he's saying here is this isn't surprising that Tinder doesn't have equal distribution, since a large portion of the ecosystem is based on physical appearance. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to look a little bit further. What the author is saying is that Tinder doesn't supply any statistics. No, they don't. OkCupid did around 10 years ago, which confirmed the 80-20 rule, but they quickly removed this under a storm of "I told you so" by a lot of the manosphere and the men going their own way guys. Anyway, there's a little bit about caveats, and that just means essentially some of the limitations of the data. Of course, fellas, like everything in life, nothing's 100% accurate. There are flaws in every statistical model or theory, so please don't take this as 100% guaranteed. So I'm going to skip over this. I'm going to get down to the data. Okay, I'm just going to read from this. As I stated previously, the average female likes 12% of men on Tinder. This doesn't mean, though, that most males will get liked back by 12% of all the women they like on Tinder. This would only be the case if likes were equally distributed. In reality, the bottom 80% of men are fighting over the bottom 22% of women. Top 78% of women are fighting over top 20% of men. You can see this in figure 1. The area in blue represents situations where women are more likely to like the men. The area in pink represents the situations where men are more likely to like women. Yikes. So you can see female attractiveness versus male attractiveness and the advantages of this. Holy shit. I mean, the entire graph is taken up for the female advantage. Again, what does this prove? It proves, fellas, that you cannot be stagnant. You cannot be wallowing in your mum's basement, overweight, not speaking to anyone, not doing any exercise, eating bad, not in a good place financially. You just can't really do that and expect to get attention from women, and especially attractive ones. So I don't think that's new information to anyone, but this is just reinforcing that and reinforcing the need and requirement for you to improve yourself on many different facets of your life. Just to put that into perspective, the male is likely to like the female 6.2 times more often than the female likes the male. 6 to 1. 6 times more likely that you're going to like her, she's going to like you. Wowzers. Okay, so what we're going to look at is the Genie Coefficient, and this looks at how close a country is to having equal income distributions. So Denmark and Sweden, as you can see, are the top. Europe, on average, again, I don't know if that's the Western European countries or all the European countries, but still pretty high. United States actually is pretty low in the rankings. South Africa being the worst one we can see here, but the Tinder inequality is huge. Again, we look at that 95% of the countries of the world have a more equal distribution of wealth than Tinder. Wowzers. Okay, so essentially, fellas, what we've seen there is just how difficult the online dating world is if you're not firing on all cylinders. Now, what I want to say to you is just a couple of things that I would recommend just off the bat, and I'm going to go into a video which is going to explain how to enhance your online dating profiles in more detail. But look, this was 6 years ago, and Tinder now I'd say is even worse. It's saturated, so everyone's using it. A lot of people use it for like OnlyFans and funnel you to Instagram, selling stuff. A lot of dodgy, weird accounts on there. What I would recommend is getting Hinge. That's quite a new one, last couple of years. That's quite a hard barrier to entry. So you have to answer prompts. And that means that you know, if you're really not serious, you're not going to answer any prompts. I think that's a good thing, because it means there's less people on trying to funnel you to OnlyFans, Instagram. Bumble, again, that's when the girl reaches out to you. So that's a good one to download as well. And then things like buying clothes that fit you properly, whitening your teeth and getting them straightened, sorting your hair and your beard so that it's cut nice, it's cut stylish, looking at going to the gym, losing weight if you're overweight, getting that nice V taper, which is a broad shoulders and a small waist. It's like a triangle, daily triangle, if you know what I'm saying. Looking at finances, are you making the most money you can? Are you utilizing your time? So are you working in a job where there is a scalable pay, something like sales, for example, where the harder you work, more you do, the more you're going to get paid? Similar, are you investing in stocks, crypto, real estate, whatever? So those are just some of the things you can do. The last one I'd say is get some good pictures. So once you're in a bit better shape, your teeth are white, your hair's cut, you've got some clothes that fit you, get a friend. Some of the iPhones have got really good cameras, but find someone who's got a really good camera and just go out, take a few outfits, take some really good photos. And that's just going to boost you up the rankings, boost you into that top 20%, which is where you want to be. But even if, like, on the face of it, objectively, you're thinking, I'm a 5, I'm a bit overweight, I'm not looking good, literally you can add 1, 2, 3 points onto yourself just by doing all those things I said. So fellas, it is not great reading. It does, I mean, look at that. I mean, it does add to what we have been saying, the 80-20 rule. But the main thing to take from it is you can't be stagnant. You've got to be improving yourself. You've got to get yourself in a position where you are attractive to as many females as possible to make sure your dating life is a successful and an enjoyable one. Anyway, fellas, thank you for joining. I hope you enjoyed the new format for today. Leave a comment or a like if you can. And yeah, we'll see you in the next video.